I remember the exact moment I realized something was different. I was standing in Target, looking at a $120 wireless speaker. It wasn't something I needed. My old speaker worked fine. But I was about to buy it anyway, like I'd bought 100 other things like it before. And then I thought about my investment portfolio. At that exact moment, I had just crossed $100,000 in invested assets. And I realized, this speaker costs me more than a share of stock. I put it back on the shelf and walked out without it. Here's the part that should bother you more than it does. Most people will never make the connection between that $120 speaker and what it's actually costing them in future wealth. Because it's not just $120. It's $120 today, plus all the returns that money would have made if I'd invested it instead. At 8% average returns, that $120 speaker is actually costing me about $2,000 in wealth over 30 years. My name is Money Sketcher, and I spent years buying things without thinking about what they were really costing me. But something shifted the moment I hit 6 figures in invested assets. Suddenly, every purchase looked different. Because once you have real money working for you, you start to see other money very differently. And if you've ever wondered why wealthy people seem cheap sometimes, or why billionaires drive old cars, this is exactly why. It's not about being stingy. It's about understanding the actual cost of things. Stick around and hit subscribe, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the 5 things I completely stopped buying once I understood what they were really costing me. And here's the thing, these aren't extreme sacrifices. They're not deprivation. They're just clarity about what's actually worth the money. Hold on to this, some of the best financial decisions I've ever made weren't about making more money. They were about seeing the money I already had in a completely different way. Before we go further, let me be straight with you about something, because it's the whole idea this video is built on. I'm not saying you need to be miserable or deprive yourself to build wealth. I'm not telling you to cut out joy or experiences or nice things. This is just what I noticed about my own spending patterns once I reached a specific milestone, $100,000 in invested assets. And how that milestone completely changed what felt worth buying and what didn't. And here's the uncomfortable truth that separates people who build wealth from people who talk about building wealth. Wealth builders stop trading their future for their present somewhere around this point. Most people never do. Let me show you what changed. The first thing you need to understand is that hitting $100,000 in invested assets isn't about the money itself. It's about what that milestone represents. It means you've delayed gratification enough to accumulate real capital. You've made thousands of small decisions to spend less than you earned. You've compounded growth for long enough that the results are visible. And once you have that, something in your brain shifts. Suddenly you're not just thinking about, can I afford this? You're thinking about, what will this cost me in 5 years? In 10 years? In 30 years? That's the shift. That's where everything changes. Because most people think about money in the immediate. They see $120 and they think, do I have $120? And if they do, they buy it. But once you have $100,000 working for you, you start thinking about money in terms of its future value. You see $120 and you think, that's a dividend payment I won't get this month. That's 3 days of compound growth I'm surrendering. It sounds extreme. But it's not cynical or unhealthy. It's just clarity. And the moment you get that clarity, you stop buying certain things entirely. Not because you can't afford them. But because now you can finally see what they actually cost. Let's start with the one that saved me the most money. Convenience foods. Delivery services. Pre-made meals. DoorDash. Uber Eats. Quick takeout. The stuff you grab because you're tired or busy or just don't feel like cooking. Before the $100,000 milestone, I wasn't thinking about this stuff as expensive. It was $15 here, $20 there. Totally manageable. My salary could handle it. But once I understood compound growth, I started tracking it. And I realized, I was spending about $400 per month on convenience food and delivery services. That's $4,800 per year. $4,800 per year, at 8% returns, over 30 years, is $610,000. $610,000. For convenience food. And here's the thing that actually changed my behavior: it wasn't the guilt. It was the vision. Once I could see that $610,000 number, buying the $20 delivery meal became like literally handing $670 to the restaurant and saying, "Thanks for taking my future wealth." So I stopped. Not because I'm disciplined, but because I could finally see what I was actually trading. And the weird part? I don't miss it. Because what I gained is better than the convenience ever was. I gained money that works for me while I sleep. I gained the security of knowing I have options. I gained the freedom that comes from financial stability. The convenience of delivery food never once made me feel as good as watching my portfolio hit six figures made me feel. The second category is bigger and it's more invisible: status purchases. These are the things you buy specifically because other people will see them. The fancy watch. The designer bag. The car that's nicer than you need. The apartment that's $300 more per month because the kitchen looks better on Instagram. Before the $100,000 milestone, I didn't even realize I was doing this. I thought I was buying nice things because I liked them. But I was really buying them because of what I thought they said about me to other people. A $2,000 watch. That's not an investment in time telling. A Casio keeps perfect time for $50. The difference is the status. The "I can afford a $2,000 watch" signal. But once I hit $100,000, something changed. I realized I was paying $1,950 for status. For a signal. For something completely invisible to actual wealth. And the irony is, the actual wealthy people I know? They don't buy status stuff. They buy function. They wear cheap watches and drive old cars and carry regular bags. Because they already know they're wealthy. They don't need to prove it to anyone. The status purchases weren't making me look richer. They were making me stay poor. So I stopped. The watch I wear now costs $200. The clothes I buy are functional, not branded. The car I drive is 5 years old and paid off. And here's what's wild: nobody cares. Nobody notices. And I'm significantly richer for it. The money I save from not buying status stuff. That compounds. That works for me. That's real wealth, not the appearance of it. This one sounds small, but it adds up to something real. Subscriptions. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Apple Music, Spotify, HBO Max, that meditation app, the fitness app, the language learning app, the productivity app, the email management tool, the website builder, the automation service. You sign up for one thing, you forget about it, and suddenly you're bleeding money in $12.99 increments to services you haven't used in 3 months. Before the $100,000 milestone, I didn't even track them. They were just small charges. But once I started looking at everything through the lens of, what will this cost me in future wealth, I did an audit. $19 for Netflix. $14 for Spotify. $12 for an app one never use. $9 for another app, $15 for a subscription box. $8 for another service. $11 for another one. I counted, I had 23 active subscriptions. Monthly total, $287. $287 per month. $3,440 per year. And I was using maybe 6 of those services. $3,440 per year at 8% returns over 30 years is $440,000. So I was paying $440,000 for subscriptions I forgot I had. I cut it down to 4. Essential ones only. Now I spend $38 per month. I audited, I canceled, and suddenly I have $249 more per month to invest. But here's the real insight: after I did this, I noticed something else. I wasn't sad about losing the subscriptions I never used. I was angry at myself for the years I'd wasted money on them. That anger? That's the awakening. That's when the spending pattern finally breaks. This category is the sneakiest because it hides in small purchases. The $6 coffee every morning. The $15 lunch instead of packing one. The $40 shirt because it's on sale. The $80 dinner out because you're tired. The $25 book you'll probably never read. The $120 speaker because it looked cool. The random Amazon purchases. The things you don't need that you see and just buy. These are the purchases that feel harmless because individually they're tiny. But collectively, they're enormous. I tracked mine for a month and it was embarrassing. Small impulse purchases, $847 in a single month. That's $10,164 per year. At 8% returns over 30 years, that's $1.3 million. $1.3 million in impulse purchases. And here's the thing, I didn't remember most of them. I got a credit card statement and saw the charges and thought, did I buy this? Multiple times. Once I could see that number, $1.3 million, I couldn't unsee it. Every small purchase became a tiny theft for my future self. So I made a rule, nothing under $100 gets bought without sitting on it for 48 hours. Nothing over $100 without a week of thinking about it. This sounds extreme until you realize how much money you were burning on things you don't remember buying. The weird part, once I stopped making impulse purchases, I didn't feel deprived. I felt relieved. Because I realized most of those purchases weren't making me happy anyway. They were just purchases. Briefly novel, then forgotten. The $1.3 million I saved. That makes me happy. That actually works for me. The last one is the most insidious because it's designed to be invisible. As your income goes up, there's a natural pressure to upgrade your lifestyle. Better apartment. Better car. Better everything. Most people call this, you deserve it. I call it the lifestyle creep death trap. Because here's how it works, you make $40,000, you live on $38,000, you invest $2,000. You get a raise to $50,000, suddenly you deserve a better apartment, plus $400/month, a better car, plus $300/month, better dining, plus $200/month. Now you're living on $49,000 and investing $1,000. You broke even on your raise. Then you make $60,000. Same pattern. New apartment. New clothes. New restaurants. Now you're living on $58,500 and investing $1,500. The money increases but the investments stay flat because you're always matching your spending to your income. This is the trap. And the only way to escape it is to intentionally refuse to play. Once I hit $100,000 invested, I made a rule, my lifestyle stays the same. Period. Any income increase goes to investments. No new apartment. No new car. No new upgrades. And here's what happened, suddenly my investments started accelerating. The gap between income and spending grew. The amount I could invest doubled, then tripled. Because I wasn't playing the game anymore. I was playing a different game entirely. And listen, everything we've talked about so far is about seeing your money clearly and understanding what it's actually costing you to spend it. That's the awareness. But there's a level beyond this. And it's about understanding what to do with all this money once you stop spending it on the things that don't matter. I've put together a breakdown over on my channel about how I specifically deployed every dollar after I hit $100,000, which accounts, which investments, how I positioned for growth, how I structured it so the money compounds aggressively while I sleep. It's the actual playbook, not theory. Step by step. If you want to see how to accelerate from $100,000 to $500,000 and beyond, check the description. It's there if you want it. No pressure. Let's keep going. Here's the thing that stops people from making these changes, they're waiting for it to feel hard. They think that building wealth requires suffering. That you have to deprive yourself. That you have to be miserable and disciplined and white-knuckle your way to success. But that's not what happened to me. The moment I understood what these purchases were actually costing me, I didn't have to white-knuckle anything. It became easy. Because I could finally see the truth. You don't sacrifice by stopping delivery food when you understand that $20 meal is costing you $670 in future wealth. You feel relieved. You feel smart. You feel like you finally figured something out. The sacrifice narrative is wrong. The truth is simpler. Once you see clearly, the choice becomes obvious. And the people who don't make the change? It's not because they're undisciplined. It's because they haven't seen clearly yet. They still think about money in the immediate. They still see $120 and think, can I afford this, instead of, what will this cost me in 30 years? Let me go back to that moment in Target, because there's more to the story. I put the speaker back and I walked out without it. But I did something else that day. I went home and I logged into my investment account. And I looked at that $100,000 number. I thought about what it took to get there. The years of delayed gratification. The thousands of small decisions. The times I said no to things other people were buying. And I realized that $100,000 wasn't sitting still. It was working for me. Every single day, compound growth was adding to it. Every day I wasn't buying the speaker, my money was earning me more money. That's when it clicked. That's when the whole game shifted. And I didn't feel deprived. I felt powerful. Because I wasn't just saving money anymore. I was building a machine that works for me while I sleep. A machine that multiplies. A machine that doesn't care if I'm tired or busy or just want something nice. It just compounds. And that's worth 1,000 Target speakers. The 5 things I stopped buying aren't sacrifices. They're clarity. They're me finally seeing what things actually cost and making a choice based on real information instead of temporary impulses. You can do the same thing. You don't need to hit $100,000 first. You can start right now. Pick one of these categories. Start tracking it. See what it's actually costing you in future wealth. Once you see the number clearly, the choice will make itself. This is Money Sketcher. I'll see you in the next one.